help me. We are having a conversation about Arsenal. Have they improved? And what I'm trying to rationalise here is it possible to improve when you are 2 places lower in the season than you were this time last year? You've got less points and you've scored less goals. Is it genuinely possible to improve? Helping me explore this is the wonderful Ade Oladipo. The link to his YouTube channel is in the description below. Make sure that you head over there. It's got some fantastic content coming out. Ade, help me explore this, because there is a theory that Arsenal are better this year than they were last year. They're a better team than they were. They're moving in the right direction. Things are going well. But the tangibles, less points, less goals, worse off in the league.
Yeah.
Are they genuinely better than they were this time last year?
Interesting question, that, isn't it? They definitely have better personnel. But no one's going to tell me that Jurriën Timber, Declan Rice don't improve the team. Trossard obviously came in, but he's there now as a regular. He improves the team, surely. I still don't know about the Kai Havertz thing. I don't know if he does, but...
Well, that's interesting, right? So they replaced Xhaka with Havertz.
Yeah.
They replaced sort of fan favourite Ramsdale with Raya.
Yeah.
And although the points may not reflect this, they've had some big results this year, bigger than last year.
Yeah.
They've beaten Liverpool, which I thought was huge. They battered West Ham off the back of beating Liverpool, which is huge. They've already beaten Manchester City this season, which again is huge. And there are many metrics to say that they are moving in the right direction and getting better.
I think that there's a metric, and look, prove me wrong, people, if I am wrong, but I think there's a metric that will show you that Saka, Odegaard and Martinelli and Jesus are not as good this season as they were at the same point last season. I think they have fallen off a little bit. And when you are talking fine margins, they were all singing from a hymn sheet of 9s, right? 9s and 8s and 10s sometimes. They're probably now at 6s, 7s and 8s. And that little drop-off is probably the reason they're 2 places below in the league. They're a couple of points off and they haven't scored as many goals because of their main 4 last season. And I'm guessing they were the main 4. Have dropped off a little bit.
Yeah. 23 games last season, they managed to accrue 54 points. You've got to remember as well, that would encompass that run that they went on just before we all went off to Qatar.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Would they win 12 out of 14 or something like
something
that?
ridiculous.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the points tally of last season was huge. And it felt like it was insurmountable, really, because they managed to do so well. Whereas this season, the points tally is less. 54 last season, 49 this season. So that's what, 5 points.
Yeah.
They're 5 points worse off. But the results that they've managed to put together are bigger.
This is interesting then. So what would you take? Obviously, look, most people would say you take the points, right? But then would you take the performances against Liverpool as sign of improvement? Would you take the performances against City as signs of improvement? Or would you say it's all well and good beating those guys, but we're struggling against the lesser teams?
Yeah.
And why are they struggling against the lesser teams?
Well, they've scored 4 goals less, which is not going to help.
It's not that much, though. It's not that much.
No, unless you win them all 1-0.
Yeah,
Then it's a lot.
True. That's good. It's 12
Then it's a
points,
lot.
Potentially, yeah, you are correct.
They've scored less. They've conceded 1 less than they conceded last year at this stage of the season. But overall, I feel like they're a better team. Maybe just the feeling.
No, they're a better team in terms of on paper. And when you look at them, they do look like a better outfit and a better machine. But I go back to it, and Arsenal fans will 100% agree with me. Martinelli isn't where he was last season. Odegaard's had his moments, and he's starting to look like he's going to that stage again, that lofty pedestal that we put him on. But though at the back end of last season, we're comparing him to Kevin De Bruyne. He's not that this season. So I think if you have a couple of drop-offs in a squad, it's quite thin, Arsenal's squad, then you could see where they have dropped points and dropped places.
Yeah. So it's the equivalent fixtures is a way where you could suggest that they've improved.
Yeah.
And it's their competitiveness in those fixtures. Like they looked good, didn't they, against Liverpool?
Oh, no. They're a bogey team for us now. Like they have what we used to have, which is the engine room. They have it now. Odegaard is a genius on the ball. And Declan Rice is reminiscent of bygone era of Gerrard or anyone else in their peak. So, they're a bit of a problem for us.
And I think crucially, in terms of where they've improved, if you were to say, where are they better? So I feel like they're a much better team this year than they were last year. But if you would say why and where, they're less
Defensively.
flimsy.
Defensively, they're strong.
Do you know what I think it is as well? It's not only the performances of Saliba and Gabriel. I just think they're sturdier with, say, Declan Rice in the team. They're a sturdier being.
And he's kind of copied. I know Arsenal fans don't like to hear it, but it's true. He's kind of copied Pep as well, where at times it looked like they was going to go 4 centre-backs as 4 defenders. Ben White is a centre-back, and he was a centre-back last season when Saliba was injured. He's now playing as a right-back. I know he can play there, and he has played there. So that's strong on that side now. So you look at those 3, just those 3 alone, because the left-back berth has been in and out. Tomiyasu Zinchenko's gone over there as well. But that 3 of Saliba fit now, Gabriel and Ben White, strong.
Yeah, and the way that they constrict. Well, you think this season when they've played Liverpool and Man City, 2 teams that are free scoring, 2 teams that know the way to the back of the net. Arsenal constricted them massively. There was no real opportunity. Liverpool had nothing.
No, barely. I think Liverpool had 1 shot.
Liverpool had nothing.
It was a weak Diaz shot, I think it was.
Yeah,
it was nothing.
Like that.
Yeah, and look at what we've got going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be the sign where you go, okay, this is definitely a way that they've improved. And it's also definitely a way to suggest that they can win the league.
I don't care what Arsenal fans say, though, but Havertz in midfield isn't making you stronger. I don't care. I know but they're desperate to see, and they haven't seen. I think they've seen it once this season. Odegaard, Partey, Rice. That's what they wanted. Havertz was going to be off the bench, potentially go as a false 9. They haven't seen that 3 yet. And I think we're lucky we haven't, because I think that 3 in the midfield would be a problem for anyone. Anyone.
So what I can't understand is I know that they're better this season. I know that they're a better team. But it's difficult to prove it, and it's difficult to put your finger on why. Is it because they're not taking their chances? Like they're not... You know, last year, it felt like they would go 1-0 up early all the time. It felt like they were always winning games. That doesn't seem to be happening as much. It doesn't feel like they're taking their chances.
Well, we've said it a lot, and you've always countered me, because I've always said they need a killer up front. And you've countered me correctly by saying, well, 1 second, all the goals are spread around, which is true, right? I think Saka got double figures, obviously. Martinelli got double figures. Jesus got double figures. Odegaard got double figures as well last season. That isn't the case this season.
11 goals inside the first 20 minutes last season. 8 this season.
Yeah.
Same amount of games. So on 11 occasions last season, within the first 20 minutes, bang, they're 1-0 up.
So you know when you said they're only 4 goals behind what they were last season, and 4 goals potentially, as you say, if the games are 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, puts them top of the table. That's the difference between not having a Salah and a Haaland and having, no disrespect, an Nketiah and a Jesus to get your goals as your main goal threat. It's small. It looks small on paper. Oh, just 4 goals, just 5 goals. But those killer finishers that I just mentioned, Haaland again and Salah, can make a massive difference. Massive difference when it comes to the end of the season, and you're missing it out by a couple of goals.
Yeah,
and that's what they don't have. They don't have it. Jesus isn't that, and
no,
Nketiah
Jesus isn't that. But then to say it the other way, so yeah, you're right. They don't have that. But what they do have this season that they didn't have last season, like I rate Thomas Partey really highly. Yeah. But you know, in terms of like, without sounding like a massive nerd here, you know those like, what do they call them? Like progressive passes.
Yeah.
Aggressive passes. Forward passes. Yeah. Passes to win a game.
David Silva.
But Declan Rice is that. Declan Rice picks the ball up. His first thought is forward. True. Whereas I feel like Thomas Partey's first thought is look after the ball. Find the man in space. You're a better team if you've got that incisive passer.
But yeah, I mean, to add to it though, if you had both. Because Thomas Partey cleans up absolutely everything. And by the way, he can score a couple of goals as well. Him and Rice together. Imagine him sitting and allowing Rice then to just go forward more. Oh, mate, it would have been frightening.
Yeah.
It would have been frightening. I think the worry for Arsenal fans is they probably look at this squad and think, Michael, this is as good as it gets. Arsenal could finish 3rd. This, as you said, this is the better squad than last season, which I guess by default means it's the best squad they've had in the last several years.
Yeah, 19 years.
And it could finish 3rd.
It's true.
That's the
standard of the league, isn't it? Well, it's not even the standard of the league. The league isn't particularly good. It's the standard of the other 2.
Yeah.
And they could finish 3rd. But you see, what they do now have, they have the ability to beat anyone. They have I feel like they're a proper cohesive team now, capable of winning, scoring loads of goals from corners, being a real threat at set pieces, as well as scoring those beautifully crafted goals.
I don't look at Arsenal and think, what would I improve? There is no weakness. Again, Trossard comes off the bench and if it's Trossard or Martinelli now, I don't think the drop-off is as big. I mean, you think about it. A couple of years ago, Emil Smith-Rowe was guaranteed to start.
Yeah.
That Emil Smith-Rowe was going to come through with Saka and they were going to be the future. That's how much they've elevated. But Emil Smith-Rowe is just not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
That's how much they've moved forward.
Yeah, it's so tricky. Isn't it? Where do you think they'll finish?
Third.
Do you really?
Yeah, 100%. I think third. I do
don't
think
know.
you've got to win 12, 13 games. I do wonder if maybe going deep into Europe could be a problem for them. Obviously, Arsenal, we know in Champions League they haven't won it. If there's an opportunity there and they feel like, oh my God, we can actually get a good draw, they could go for that. I think
I
third.
honestly don't know how I feel about them.
You changed your mind a lot on this one, and it's going to be difficult.
Do you know why? It was because of those 2 consecutive London derby defeats. I was like saying Arsenal are going to win the league. I thought they were amazing. I really did. And when people were saying they needed a striker and they can't win it without a striker, I was like, they'll score enough goals. And they do score enough goals. They just scored 6 against West Ham, 5 different goal scorers, 2 centre-halves on the... They're ready to win the league, right? 3 against... They're ready to win the league. And then they lost those 2 consecutive London derbies, West Ham, Fulham. And then I was like, okay, you could get away with losing one of those. You can't lose both of them. But then they've bounced back and they've beaten Liverpool and they've smashed West Ham. And since the turn of the year, they haven't lost a game. They've won every game they've played this year.
Yeah.
So I don't have a clue.
Nah, nor do I. Nor do I.
To answer this, though, they are a better team this year.
They're a better team, but it won't be good enough. It won't be enough. It won't be enough because the other two are just too strong. You know what the other two have got? You know, that's what it comes. This is what it comes down
managers.
to. It's Klopp and Guardiola.
But Arteta's doing a business act.
He is, but the squads. I actually think the squads on paper. If you're just going to do a combined Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool 11, Arsenal might have as many in there as the rest. It's the manager that separates.
But do you know where I was so impressed?
And Guardiola is above Arteta.
Do you know what Arteta did recently though? You know how he likes Zinchenko to play that like left side midfield,
almost a bit what Trent's trying to do.
Yeah.
Inverted.
Yeah. I think they've they all learn from one another. It's not an Arteta idea, but Arteta's borrowing the idea.
Yeah.
You know, we saw Nathan Ake push up to midfield at various points. We've seen Trent Alexander-Arnold do it. Zinchenko was Arteta's deployment for that. When Zinchenko's out, whoever plays that side can't do it. Yeah. Like, just can't do it. And he got subbed the other day. I forget, was it Kirill? Got subbed trying to do it, and they just didn't know how to do it. Like, I saw Ben White doing it, man. But Ben White's playing right back and then ending up as a midfielder.
He can do that, though.
Like, Arteta's evolving, though.
He did that for Leeds, didn't he? He did that for Leeds.
Did he?
He did it for Leeds.
Right.
And
I know he was at Leeds with Bielsa, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did it for Leeds, and I think he did it a little bit for Brighton.
Right.
So he definitely.
But I was surprised
to
see Arteta using Ben White. I thought it was very progressive.
Mate, I think everyone's looked at the City side and think, okay, we have to try something. Everyone's trying something different. Everyone's having a go and trying stuff.
Yeah.
And Arteta's no different. And we're all getting it from Pep. John Stones in the midfield.
So basically, what we're saying is, that they're brilliant. They're better than they were last year. They're moving on up, and they're going to finish worse than they did last year.
Yeah. Third on probably less points.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've really enjoyed this. I don't know if I was any clearer, but I have enjoyed exploring it. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to Ade Oladipo's YouTube channel. The link is in the description below, and I will see you all on the next episode.